I was born in 1945, November 17th, out here in Curve Lake. At that time, it was called Mud Lake. And then 62 or 63, I guess they changed it to Curve Lake. I don't know for what reason. But all I spoke was Ojibwe for the 5 years that I was here. And then in 1951, I was taken up to the old schoolhouse up here, along with my 3 older sisters. And I asked them in Ojibwe what these people are doing here, or where are we going? Well, my sisters told me that after we get dressed up and have a bath, they're going to take us out for lunch, dinner. But that didn't happen. I never seen my parents for 10 years after. You see, once they left the reserve, the government people came back and told my parents that they took us and never to have anything to do with us, contacts or anything, or visits, or even phone calls. Even the band office never phoned. See how I was health and welfare in the institution. So anyway, my first day in the Mohawk Institute, which we call the Mush Hole as a nickname, because that's about what it was. I was taken into a little room, and I had my hair cut, and my name taken away, and they gave me a number 39 for 10 years. And my sisters told me in Ojibwe there in that little room that they'd be let to see me once a week. But that was bullshit, because my one sister that's living now, she told me, I asked her a lot of questions, the one that's living now, and she told me that we've only talked to you about 12 times in the 10 years. And the Mohawk Institute never told me when each of my sisters went home. You know, as we became of age, we were sent back to the reserve.
What's of age? What
Around
age?
16, I guess, 15 or 16. But anyway, when I turned 16, around about 62 or 63, I came back to Curve Lake, full of hatred, full of shame, full of anger, mistrust against society, because during those 10 years, I witnessed a lot of sexual abuse, a lot of beatings from the staff, plus I had to fight my way up too, you know, because the bigger boys would steal my food because we weren't fed good enough. And we had to survive by eating at the dump sometimes, most of the time, at the city dump in Brantford. See, a lot of people don't really understand what really happened,
No, they don't. They have no comprehension.
And even my own people, you know, they don't know, because they never checked up on me. If they would have checked up on me, they would have known I was being sexually abused and beaten by the staff, you know. And anyway, I was sexually abused by a black minister, as he did to a lot of little kids, which he never was punished. But when I told a white minister what had happened, they took me down to the playroom where we all gathered, and they took my clothes off and tied me to a chair at the age of 7, you know, before about 7 years old, and they tied me to a chair, and I woke up in a dispensary, not in a hospital out of the building, but in a dispensary in the Mohawk Institute. I woke up, I was all black and blue, blood and every damn thing. What you think?
What's a dispensary?
It's like a little hospital room, set aside beside where you get your medication and that. And I was in there for about a month and a half. That's how bad they beat me, eh?
And you were 7.
Yeah, I was only 7. And so, from that day on, I never ever told the truth. Never. Even to this day, I won't tell the truth. Because I was told it was bad, or I was beaten for telling the truth. You know, I was institutionalized during those 10 years. Prison life to me is like a holiday, to tell you the truth. A lot of people will think, that guy's crazy, man. You know, how in the hell did he survive? But I'm not crazy. That's what I was taught at a very early age. You know, how to defend myself, how to look after myself, and how to support myself, you know, survive through the world out there. So anyway, I was beaten and sexually abused for 10 years. And I'm not only talking for myself, I'm talking for the people that don't have enough strength or, you know, to get over the shame to talk about it.
What gave you the strength to get over the shame?
I met my creator on a tear. I woke up in the hospital. I joined some wild club. What happened, I won't mention. But anyway, I joined a club, and on my initiation night, I fell down a flight of stairs. And that's how the creator got my attention. And I haven't took a drink since. He gave me a whole new life. And he's made me strong enough to go and talk about all the garbage that society has. You know, like them little kids being buried and all that stuff. There's worse things than that, you know. To me, you were better off dead in there, because of what was going on in those closed doors, eh? Like I say before, I only talk for others because I survived all that humiliation and pain and shame and anger, and then the reconciliation comes in. That's bullshit. You know, that's only a word. That's only like will you forgive them? If you don't forgive them, you get sicker, eh? Even elders come to me and say, "Oh, Freddy, you gotta forgive them, man. You know you're going to get really sick." I don't. How in the hell can you forgive a person that's locked you up for 10 years and beat you, and you see your friends disappear and not come back around and survive by eating the city dumps? You know, they don't know. They don't have a clue. So I don't trust colored people, and I don't trust white people, and there's only certain things I tell my own people, because now I think I'm going to be near future. They say they're talking about not if you have a status and live off the reserve. I heard that they're going to vote to kick us off. You know, if you don't live on reserve, how in the hell can I fight the government? Because it was my people that signed the people to sign the papers to get me off the reserve in the first place, and now they're going to backtrack and say, "Hey, Freddy, you got to live in this place here." I don't want to live in Curve Lake. You know, a lot of people love Curve Lake, but I don't. Curve Lake is a asshole end of the world to me.
Where do you want to go?
I want to be where I am, in a white society, where I'm left alone. I have a nice home, a strong woman that's looked after me through these years, along with between my creator that I found and my wife. They both helped me along. See, my wife, she's seen me through the rough times. You know, the police dogs and all that stuff in the wild world. See, I'm more happier in what you call the dark side of life. That's the only friends I have that journey through the dark sides, because I understand their anger and frustrations of society. Just because you look different, you're down, you're put down, you can't get a job, or you drink, but there's always a reason why a person drinks. There is. I drank for many years, and I lashed out at society for many years, but there was a time that I was getting too sick of it.
Freddy, you gave me permission to ask you questions, which I'm grateful for, so thank you. I have a lot of shame too, right? Even though, like, I'm a white person. I feel ashamed that this is the country that I lived in. What can we do? What can we say? What can we do? How do we move forward?
I'll tell you. I've been sitting back for years and years and years after I met my Creator. And the government is going the wrong way of helping the residential school survivors, because some of us have drinking problems, some of us will never make it home. There's say 95% that have made it back to their own culture and that, but there's that 5% like myself that will never get it. But I'm speaking for all survivors. They should be, that settlement they had for being in a residential school, that was only probably $120,000. They should have gave us, I'm talking about the survivors themselves, not their children. The survivors themselves. That's who needs the money. They should have get at least, say, maybe $1,500 a month, which isn't very much for the pain and suffering and the humiliation, and because that $1,500 would help bring my children up better in the white man's world. Mm-hmm. And if they drink it up, that's their fault. You know what I mean?
Well, I had an interesting comment from somebody, and it made me really think and ponder, because you never learned love and you never learned trust, right? So then how do you learn to be a parent? How do you learn to be a person?
I am very protective of my kids.
Of course you are. Why wouldn't you be?
Because during those 10 years, I've watched little kids get attacked by other kids and sexually abused and that. And when I see somebody going near my kids that looks like a pervert or something, I get right there, you get your face away from there. Yet, in society, I have a neighbor. I won't mention how close she lives, that family lives, but they're Métis. I live in a native housing. And these people are so ignorant that it's a wonder I'm not in jail, because they tell their kids, stay away from that guy's yard. You never know, he's a bad person, he's been in a residential school. It goes on and on and on. Yet, those Métis people that don't belong in the housing, they're the first ones to go scratch on somebody's door for a little bit of money. You know what I mean? They take the housing that's for the ones with the status cards. That's who belongs in the housing. That's who should be. But there's more white people in the housing. But I got to sit back. I got to sit back and watch that, because there's too much shame to go barking up on a tree like that, because a limb might fall and hurt me. Mm-hmm. I might get my notice. You know what I mean? But these people are so, I don't know, man. It gets me the shivers when I...
What can we say? What can we do to acknowledge the pain, the suffering, the trauma, the abuse, the murder? Like, what do we do?
You have to I think you have to get a survivor to speak his story like I am, and how he feels. And I'm still full of hatred and anger and shame and pain, but I just don't dish it out anymore. Since my Creator came into my life, I have a totally different outlook to that garbage that's out there. Outlook to that garbage that's spinning around me. But it's there. Through the neighborhood, through the walks of life, through even buying groceries, you know. People look at me, oh, there's that guy, you know, he's a residential school survivor. Don't look at him, he's mean. You know, things like that. It is true what I have to go through, you know, but like I say, I have a strong Creator and a loving Creator and a strong wife to help me get away from all that garbage. Eh? She doesn't let none of the darker side of life in our house. But I meet them on the street. I say, how you doing, buddy? You know, I trust them. That's the kind of people I trust. You know.
Your art, when did you start painting?
When I started my paintings, about 30 some years ago, all my paintings was like the memory of my second oldest sister. That's my second oldest sister. And when she passed away, I looked at her in the coffin up at the church here, and I cried, because she was one of my sisters that used to hide their leftovers from the dinner table and put it near a barbed wire fence, and so I wouldn't have to go and rely on a dump food to eat to fill my little stomach. Not only me, I'm talking for all the little kids that was in that residential school. And I never heard my name through those 10 years until near the end. When I was getting out, they gave me my name back, and everything in those 10 years was number 39. Everything. My dinner table, my clothes, my socks, my underwear, my shoes, everything was number 39.
You must hate that number. Do you?
39 is a lucky number. Okay? Because the way I say that is because I'm lucky to be here talking today. I could have been like one of those little kids that's buried. In Brantford, the Mohawk Institute, there are some people buried there. There has to be. And they'll find that out. See, the government don't really want to blame themselves for that. You know, they'll, we'll have to do something to help them. We'll give them a new burial ground. And well, that should never have happened anyway. You know, I should never went to that residential school, because now I can't speak my language, and I can't go hunting or fishing or things like that.
Did you know who you were when you were in there? Like, did you remember this place?
No, I forgot my parents' names. I forgot where I was from. And when I came back to Curve Lake, I knew I was different, because the people out here would kind of laugh at me because I couldn't speak Ojibwe or understand it. But
did they take all children?
No, at that time they only took me and my 3 older sisters. I had an older brother, but I can still see him running through the Shumacs down the road, away from the government people, and he made it. Stayed away until he was old enough to come back. You know.
How did your parents handle it when you came home?
They went to alcoholics. See, my parents I never seen alcohol in my family. We had a nice life, and we were all happy. And I remember sitting on my grandma's knee and watching her beat, and she's talking, and you know, things like that, Ojibwe to me, and I'd understand that. But then that whole world collapsed when they took me away. I was going on 6. I was born 45, and they took me in 51.
And did you know anything about these schools? Had you ever
No,
heard of them? Or
never
anything?
heard, never heard nothing about the schools. But of course, even if I did, I was too small to run away. See, and when I went to Brantford, they took my name, they took my clothing, and every damn thing else, that my hair, and
So what did they teach you? What were they telling you? That you weren't Ojibwe? That you were white?
they beat me because I spoke Ojibwe. The beating stopped a little after I lost all my Ojibwe. I couldn't talk to another boy in there in their language or anything. We were all beaten. You know. I remember lots of times we'd get caught at the dump, and we'd all stand in a row naked. Maybe there's 7 or 8 of us being caught at the city dump, and we'd be standing in a row naked, waiting for our turn to get beaten with a big strap, man. It was about 2 or 3 feet long and about 6 inches wide, with horse studs on it. And you'd have to bang, 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 and then this side, you'd be all little blue studs sinking into the skin, and blood, and then.
Did any of the kids you knew die when you were in there?
Pardon?
Did any kids die when you were in there?
I don't know if they died, but they ran away and never came back, or they left after the beating and they never came back into the population. You know, because we were separated. That was 3 dorms: the bottom dorm, the middle dorm, and the top dorm. As you get older, you move up the dorms, eh? And it's sad, man. It was sad. People don't really. They'll never understand. They'll never understand. Even I don't. But
It doesn't
I
make any
understand.
sense.
Eh?
It doesn't make any sense. I don't.
No.
It doesn't.
The only thing I understand is I survived. And going to prison was like a holiday to me.
How old were you when you went to prison?
About 17. I was doing 18 months for robbery with violence. You know, things like that. I had a rough and exciting life, I should say. And I miss it. I tell you the honest truth, I do miss it, because it was exciting, and what I got was mine. You know, nobody coming, hey, Freddy, that's mine, man. They wouldn't do that, because I was so mean and, you know, obnoxious in those days, until I met my wife. My wife is the gift of my life, eh?
How old were you when you met her?
I was about 27, 28.
Oh, that's pretty young.
Yeah. But she was she met me at the tail end of my lashing out, eh? And we've been together now 44, 45 years, something like that.
Wow.
Imagine how my parents felt. I can imagine how them little bodies that was found, how their parents felt.
Oh.
You know, my parents went to drinking heavy, and I don't blame them. But then I blamed them for many years, for a couple of years, thinking that it was their fault that I went there. But it wasn't. They didn't know I was taken. It's just like them little kids that's being found. You know, them parents must have heartbroken not to have visits with them little kids. That is heartbreaking.
It's awful.
Imagine if you were somewhere shopping, all right, and you had your little kid with you, and then all of a sudden some guy with a badge or something comes in, hey, I'm taking this kid away, and there's nothing you can do. You're cut off visits and everything. And then 10 or 15 years after that, he or she shows up and just looks at you. So who are you? You're my mom. That's the way I was.
So, did you get any comfort or love or anything in there, like even from others, like other kids?
No. No, we were all surviving. We would all survive, man. She was a rough go. The little boys would get beatings, then they'd grow up stronger and stronger, and then the population would hear that you're bad news, so they'd kind of worship you. You know, the little kids. I remember my food being taken from my breakfast table, and I'd be hungry during the day because some big boy would take mine. But as the years grew on, I did the same thing to the little guy.
Of course, that's what you were taught.
That's the way it is
That's
today.
what you were taught.
That's the way it is today. That's how I feel. So horrible deep inside for what I did. And I can just feel the pain and anger that those parents of those little children that being found, you know, how they felt. How in the hell could they must have had to go drinking or like my parents, I don't know, broke.
Did you not ever want to take your life when you were in there? Like, did a lot of kids die by suicide?
A few, I think. I was always with a strong type though. You know, I learned. After that beating, never told nothing, never told the truth. All I took was, that's mine, all through life. Up until a few years ago when I met my Creator. Now He's given me my true life. Eh? Happiness. But I'll never forgive. Or, how can you forgive though? You gotta forget before you forgive.
I don't think that's the right word. Like, I don't think forgive is the right word. I think accept, maybe, or...
Well, I can't accept that either. Though.
No, like, that's what I mean. Like, what do you... I don't know. I can't even speak for you because I have no idea. I don't know how you would even do that.
People say, hey, Freddy, holy Christ, man, look what you went through. You're a very, very strong person. But they don't know the tears I'm crying silently deep inside. You know, they think I'm a happy person. I meet people out in society, holy geez, Freddy, you're a real nice guy, man. But then that's only a fake happiness. What I'm really paying is deep inside. Eh? My wife, when she has visitors, I leave. Sometimes I can't talk to them. I can't stand their bullshit, you know, because in reality, in society, we all have a pain or shame that we have to bury and carry around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think you'd probably be big on small talk, Freddy.
No.
Wouldn't be your thing. When you know real problems.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really grateful for your time and your
You
story.
are so very welcome, babe.
And I learned lots today. I also learned to bring tobacco. Do you know I never knew that one either? I didn't know that.
No? That is so great, though, babe. I put that up there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have that little thing.
And now I know. So
Yeah.
when you come and you get any advice or input or anything from natives, you offer tobacco in a
Yeah.
little red sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that. So I think there's a lot of people, Freddie, that are afraid to ask questions, afraid to do
No.
anything, afraid to say anything. And I think if we don't talk about it, we can't fix it or make sure we don't do it again.
Yeah. You know what's funny though, what's strange about all this is a native person never interviews me. They avoid that.
Really?
Yeah. They don't understand the pain I go through. I have a really good elder friend, and he teaches a lot of native stuff. but he never comes here to talk to me. He avoids me because I think he knows I tell him off, eh? Because who in the hell in the right mind would say, hey, Freddie, you gotta forget that shit, you know, you're gonna get sick.
Well, you know what I think it is? You know this, you've seen it all, but people are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so they don't know where to put it. So
Yeah.
they ignore it and they put it, I'm not going to talk about that because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then they don't know how, but it's not fixing it. It's
You
not
know,
dealing with it.
I'll tell you, when I first moved into the Selwyn Shores, years and years ago, I put a flag up, a native flag, eh? And then the mayor of Bridgenorth, of all people, came to my house, the nerve, asked me to take the flag down because the people on Selwyn Shores were afraid of that flag or what it would do. You know, I said,
When was this?
it was a few years ago. And I said, look, I said, I don't tell you what kind of car for you to drive in my driveway. I said, that flag is going up. So you know what I did? I put the Confederation flag up there. You know,
Yeah.
they really talked it. You know, they really come around. Look at this guy, man. They even had it in the paper of my Confederation flag. But the Confederation flag to me is from the States, all right?
Yeah.
Something to do with the colored people. I don't know what it is. But I put that flag up for one reason, and that was because of how I felt towards the government for doing all that shit to me, eh?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the only way I could fight back. But then I was made to take it down or I'd get a fine, which is crazy. It's the flag, man. Eh? They don't understand what I was feeling while I put that flag up there. But now I got 3 native flags up there.
Isn't that the truth, though? Nobody knows anybody's story. Nobody knows anything.
No.
Everybody's a little iceberg.
Yeah.
You see this much? There's,
Yeah, that's true, babe. That is so true, sweetie.
yeah.
But I'm strong. They can't hurt me. I've gone through that.
I would think you're untouchable.
Yeah, that's true.
You are resilience.
Yeah, that's so true. Nothing will hurt me.
Well, I have to give Noden a shout out. He's the one that suggested I interview you.
Oh, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
To give him a shout, say, geez, that guy's crazy, man.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's given people the time to talk. I heard a saying one time from a therapist, and it says people will keep talking until they're done talking.
Yeah.
They need to get that, and you need to give people that space. You know, we often hear people say, are you not over that yet? Or you got to move on, or those kinds of things.
My wife says that.
And
You got to move on, man. You can't dwell on it.
And you can't, but you also can't be done until you're done.
Yeah. And there's always somebody wanting you to go and speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm asked to go and speak way down Brantford or someplace, that's where I go, because I never know, or that's the creator telling that person to phone here for me to go and speak down there. Because there's a reason for that, eh? There's somebody hurting down there that needs to hear it from a survivor themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I go down there. A lot of people, a few times they come to my table and say, oh, you're the reason. Once they hear me speaking, they say, oh, you're the reason we turned into Curve Lake. We didn't know. You're the reason now. So they buy a painting. They go by Curve Lake and they turn around, come back in, and they meet me, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It's just really beautiful.
Without stories, we have nothing.
That is so true, babe.
We don't have the knowledge.
That is so true, babe.